SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. Man, that is beyond long.
Look at this. He's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to episode 86 of the Smash Factor, the 2019 Houston Open. I'm here in a chilly San Antonio. We are down to 83 degrees right now, which is a massive drop for us down here in the South. With me, as always, partner Mr. Nagels. Nagels, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Gup. How are you?
Good. What's the temperature up there? Like 40 or something?
It was a little muggy today, actually. It was a little gray and gloomy, but it was I don't know, it was probably in the 70s. It's still a little warm. We haven't gotten that October weather yet. Definitely not.
What's your morning time temp when you head to the old office?
I don't know, man. It's 65 maybe.
Okay, so it's not too bad. Not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. No, it's still very warm.
Yeah, we supposedly it's gonna be a yo-yo week. We'll talk about it a little bit because I'm not too far from Houston. Chilly right now. Well, chilly for South Texas right now. Tomorrow a little bit chilly, and then all the way back up to mid 90s for the first day of the tournament, and then another cold front, quote unquote, comes through sometime Friday afternoon, evening, and we could actually have like high 50s in the low for Saturday, Sunday on the weekend, which won't affect much. Ball flight a little bit, but for down here, it's a little bit different weather coming in. Small chance of rain on Friday, something to keep an eye on, but I don't know if it'll be big enough to do a wave stack yet. That'll all come as we get closer to Wednesday for sure, but there is a decent amount of chance for rain. Before that, we will recap Shriners, go through some of the preview and our stats and all that kind of good stuff. Before we recap last week, always check out our sponsors and affiliates. You can go to gupscorner.com/affiliates and get direct links to all these. fantasynational.com/gup gets you 20% off your next subscription. You can do weekly, monthly, or annual. Monthly will almost get you through the rest of fall swing. We have about 6-7 tournaments left in the fall swing before we get a little 4 or 5 week break heading into the Tournament of Champions. Same thing with Fanshare Sports, 20% off using the code GUP on the link. Will get you the Pro Advantage, their in-depth detail. You can use that same code, same deal for NFL or golf or both. We utilize some of their information for in-depth ownership tags, all that kind of buzz in the industry. I provide my own ownership projections for both sports, but very basic projections, none of the in-depth tags and week over week and pricing, all that kind of stuff that they have. So you can go check them out if you want to get in-depth on ownership. As always, rate and review us on iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, subscribe, YouTube, Twitch. We will have some big giveaways this month. I will start to announce some of that Wednesday night with Tambo, some of the things we got coming up in October. So it is a good time to go rate and review us on iTunes, which gets you double the entries. And any of those platforms get you an entry. So you do them all. I think it's 6 you can get. And someone did ask me, so I'll just reiterate that once you're in there, you're in. So you don't have to keep doing it or anything like that. I pull all the people that have done it and I keep them in the pool forever, basically, until if you win on the Facebook, you may come out of the pool, but if you've liked us on the other 5, then you still have 5 entries in it, if that makes sense. So you still have all your opportunities to keep winning. You can win multiple times as well. So don't worry about that if you've already done that for us. We appreciate it. The rate and reviews have picked up the last month, so we greatly appreciate that as well. Helps for football or golf either way. Right now, you can join gupscorner.com. Use the code GCFFG for 10% off. Any package you like, football tools, golf tools will be coming soon. They are up now as a free preview as a part of our content and analysis package. We last week we announced that we are adding MLB and NBA to that package. So our current members, that's just a free ad for you. Nothing increases, which is great. Our content analysis package covers all sports as always. So once you're in it, whatever we add or bring to it doesn't increase your pricing at all. If you jump in now, you can lock in all of our sports. Plus, you get the free preview of the golf tools that will go on sale starting for the Tournament of Champions. And if you still want to jump on our football tools, we have that offer as well. That we still have, 11 weeks of NFL and half the college football season left. So you can go check all that out on the website, click memberships, and get all the details for that. For our last week at the Shriners, had an interesting week. It was not a good one at the end of the day, but kind of finally didn't have the T65 really affect anything. So pretty normal in that sense. Not normal in the sense that it was probably the best weather that tournament has seen in a decade. And so it was just lights out, who can go the lowest every single day. What was your overall thoughts of the tournament?
I didn't have a lot of thoughts on the tournament. I thought that you and I, we both talked about Cantley last week, how we thought he would be the chalky guy, but he would be rightfully so. And we thought he'd bounce back from his performance the week before. And obviously he did. I don't think anyone could have projected Kevin Na having an all-time putting week, which is basically what he did. I think he set a record. And, I watched the playoff. I'm surprised Cantley 3-putted. I thought they were going to go for a long time. I was worried about the darkness there, but it was pretty good. Bryson was up there, right? He had a big Sunday. But there's a lot of low numbers. Yeah, there was a lot of birdies, and that's like a typical swing season event. But it was pretty good.
Yeah, I could go on this for a while, but we're trying to keep this short tonight. I know there's not going to be very much fired up people for the Houston Open with the very lackluster field we'll get into, but I think we'll have some advantages just because of our in-depth research that we've already been doing for 4 weeks. So it'll help you this week in the common folk pools. It was just perfect weather. I think people, any tournament that can have a 9-under winner 2 years ago, it just if that wind picks up and everything, the course is completely different. So it's just a lights out type tournament. Probably the biggest mistake I made in not factoring that into the model, because there are some guys I would just knock out, Furyk, ZJ, all those guys that I kind of liked if it was going to be that 17-18, not to win, but somewhere where 9 to 11 under for them would return their value in a made cut. If you're going to get up in the high scoring like they had, it just eliminates a lot of guys that just I don't think have that consistent potential to shoot 4 to 6 under a day and be in that tournament. Obviously, Cantley does, and some of the big boys did that this week. And some of them did, and then faltered a little bit Sunday as well. Ryder was making a good run; he played like crap Sunday. Bryson the other way kind of started out slow and played really, really well on the weekend. Matsu finished, a carefree, 6 under or 7 under or something to finish 16 under. So all those guys made their runs, and it was a stronger field than normal. So, a typical fall swing, yes, but the course is just set up that its only protection is a little bit of the weather. And I do think the course was more pure than normal because of being a 4 to 5 weeks earlier, no overseed, nothing like that. So it was just kind of a perfect setup. I didn't watch a lot of it, especially on the weekend, because I don't say I don't enjoy it, but there's so much going on that I kind of, once I saw the kind of way it was shaping up, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention. I'm not one that thinks like every tournament should be 6 to 7 under as winners either. I think a nice blend. I think traditionally this tournament has played, you've had a 13 under to a 16 under. I don't know if 20's got there, but 14, 15 could win this week easily. And I think that, 3 or 4 under a day on average is good. It gets kind of crazy, especially in the DFS world, when any day you got multiple guys that can shoot 62, 63 like last week, because it just becomes almost crapshoot or a luck box on who gets hot with their putter that week. And like you said, I mean, he was the first person ever in a full field event to lose strokes, I believe, tee to green.
Yeah, and still win.
And still win. And obviously set the record for most putts made and all that kind of stuff. And obviously I kept fading that, and especially in Showdown, thinking that he can't keep doing it, but obviously he did. I got Cantley at a nice number Sunday. I just happened to be I think I just got off the golf course, actually. First time I played in a month. And at that exact moment, he was down 4 or something. Nah just birdied, and I think he may have bogeyed or something. And he was down. I think Nah was at 24 under and Cantley was at 20 under. So I just went in and live bet him real quick. I didn't release it or anything. It was just something I did. But it was a nice little number because at that point, everybody thought, I mean, it was a runaway. But I was like, Nah's going to Nah at some point. And he did, right? He got that. He had that one hole. And I thought it was going to open up, and it did. But, he couldn't finish.
Oh, that's a tough beat then. Yeah, Cantley. If you got a good number on him. Yeah, I
did at that point. I mean, it was better. I think it was as good as his pre-tournament, but he was down 4 strokes, so the odds weren't with you because on the back 9, everybody was shooting 2 or 3 under. So it was almost like, how's he going to make up 5 or 6 strokes unless there was a blow-up hole, and that's kind of what you're banking on when you do something like that. And that's why I didn't release it because that's a long shot at that point. So it wasn't like it was just something I did for fun. I'm a big Cantley guy, so knocked it out, but. I didn't do well in DK. I just had too many of the Furyk, ZJ, and then the guys at -4 that I had in my pool that missed was amazing. Like I didn't realize it all because I had a lot going on Friday night. And once I sat down that evening and looked at it, I knew I missed some guys, but I was like, holy shit! Like I think a fourth of my player pool was at 3 or 4 under, but I had like 7 or 8 guys at 4 under that were in my pool, and I was like, I mean, it was just a brutal cut for me, but. Happens. This week will be very interesting. I think I'm going to take a different strategy. We'll get into that in just a second. We're at the Golf Club of Houston, about 2 hours east of me. I may go out there for a day if I can swing it. I got some personal things going on this week that I got to take care of, but I'm going to try to go over there, maybe meet ADHD. He lives there for a day on the course. We'll see how that works out. I'll let you guys know if I do. Par 72, 7,400, decent length in this. Par 5s do play a good role in the scoring. Cut line, I got it going to be around -2 is my guess, maybe -3. And I see the winner somewhere around 16, 17 under based on just past. Biggest keynote that you'll probably hear regurgitated, so there's no reason for me to just go into it. But this tournament's normally played the last week of March or somewhere in there. And now, obviously, being in October, completely different setup in the sense that the greens will not be overseeded at all. They'll be pure Bermuda. That's probably the biggest. And I do think because of all the rain we've had, and especially Houston with the tropical storm that came through, I think actually 2 holes was underwater for multiple days. So could be soft. And I think the rough could be a little thicker, especially, I mean, my grass out front is Bermuda, and it's still really, really thick. So that's normally not a case here. If you look back in that March time, the Bermuda isn't grown in and thick. And so historically, if you look, the rough's been short per se and not really been a factor if you didn't hit the fairway. I think, and it'd be really interesting to watch some of the live shots and stuff like that leading up to Wednesday. I'll have more information on Wednesday night. I think you could get penalized off the fairways here if the rough's anywhere where I think they could have it where they normally couldn't in March. That's the biggest thing I'm going to look at this week, because if it is that way, then I'm even going to put more weight on guys hitting fairways. Outside of that, it's just going to be who can hit greens and make them. A little bit different putting surface in Bermuda, so I think that factors in as well. I already talked about about the weather, which a little bit of rain Friday. We'll monitor that, see if there's any kind of advantage. Showers down here typically this time of year, you're going to have pop up. And if it's a real bad storm, they'll get called off the course anyway. So it's not like a spring shower type deal. If it's like thunderstorms, it's going to be thunderstorms. And so I don't know if you can do a wave advantage because those guys are going to get pulled off and then you don't even know when they come back on type of deal. So more on that come Wednesday. 140-man field. There are some Monday qualifiers going on right now. Could get up to 143, 145 guys. Same top 65 in ties. Nagels, what are you looking at this week for stats?
I think short game's going to be important. I kind of want to look at just guys that are grinders. I had a hard time finding a lot of those type of guys. If you just look back at the Ian Poulter who won and Russell Henley, those guys, they don't have like one outstanding skill set. They're more of those guys they'll make big putts from time to time, but they're just like those grinder types. So I'm looking at those guys. But I want to know, since you brought it up, do you think that the fact the course condition being played now as opposed to late March, early April, do you think that changes the type of player that you would be looking at? Is the course going to play that different, that you don't have to be a grinder, that maybe now you can bomb and gouge this place?
No, in my opinion, this is Monday early evening. The only two things that are different is normally you have overseeded greens in March. So they roll a little more pure in that scenario than a true Bermuda, which has the heavy grain effect. These are pure Bermuda right now. So if a guy sucks on Bermuda, this is a time to look at that, because it's not, I downgraded course history a little more than I normally do this week, because and then the second thing I already talked about is normally if you go back and even if you watch some of it, the rough has never penalized guys out here hardly. It was just, I think you actually had more of an advantage off the tee in the past than you could this week, in the sense of if you're long off the tee, getting the rough, you could still get up, probably score, or at least hang in there. And it still may be that way because Bermuda is thick right now, but if they cut it down short, then it's kind of irrelevant. But the one thing I need to look at and see is tonight I'll watch some of the golf live, and then tomorrow watching pressers and stuff and just reading to see if the guys, especially the guys that played every year, a Berger, a Henley, if they say, well, the rough's a lot thicker than it normally is, or something like that, are the keywords I'm going to be looking at, which wouldn't change. The only thing that would change for me is getting a little more accuracy off the tee than what you might have thought going into it. That's about it for me. Other than that, I think it'll play pretty similar.
All right. Good nugget right there.
So I'm looking at off the tee off the tee fairways, good drives, however you want to gauge that, a mixture for me. And I may adjust that by time Wednesday gets here a little bit, depending on what we hear or see. Approach is extremely important here. Ball striking is important. I don't have it quite as high as maybe normally. Then I'm looking at greens and reg gained, and then I'll factor in some birdie or better gain type or bogey avoidance type numbers, depending on by Wednesday how much I think that's going to matter. To your point, if I think the rough's thick and gnarly, and if you go back and watch some of these tournaments where it's been thick Bermuda, like you'll hear the guys talk about, like, you're not getting birdie from there. You're praying to say par to hit it out of that rough. I mean, the rough at my club on Sunday, I mean, it was brutal. If you got in the rough, it was get out, be safe, and then try to get on the green and two putt for a bogey type of deal. And so if that's the case, I will bring in bogey avoidance a little more than I may have thought of going into tonight, early, yesterday. Other than that, the kind of normal stats is what I'm looking at. I did downgrade. I downgraded, of course, history, and I upgraded recent form because now we have 4 straight tournaments in a row. A lot of these guys have played all 4 or 3 or 4. And so I want to see how the form's looking going into this tournament. What about you for anything else stats wise?
No, that's great stuff right there. I'm right there with you. I like that. The grinders, bogey avoidance, those types of guys. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and if we hear by tomorrow or Monday that they've cut the rough all the way down, they're going to let the boys go at it. Well, then that obviously changes our mindset. And so I'm not getting too pot committed to anything right now. I'm banking everything tonight off of what I just said, that I think the rough's going to be up a little bit, pure Bermuda green. So I want guys that are good on Bermuda. I wish Killer Keith was here. This would be like his tournament to win. And history, a little bit of knowing the place does matter. But I really I want to see the form guys as well. Now that we're week 5 into this new season. Dirty Dozen, we got 4 tiers of 3 picks, 9K and above, 76 to 8,900, 7,500 or less, 1 flop, 1 fade, and 1 sleeper. And then we'll have a quick round table, some betting, and get out of here for you guys before Monday Night Football starts. We're not going to go as in-depth on all these guys. Mainly because, you'll hear it. This is kind of a shit field, and it is for the most part. But my perception last night to my deep diving once I went in last night, my first round of deep diving, and then kind of refreshed my rankings when I got home today. It's a solid field for us DFS guys that we've been watching for 3 or 4 weeks, or even more than that on the Corn Ferry and stuff like that. There's no top heavy hitters or anything like that, so it's not star attractive. I mean, Stinson's over here; he's a prior winner. He's done well here. I don't know if he won it for sure. He got a 2nd and a 6th in the last 3 years. But some of the guys we like Doc Redmond, Burgoon for me, I enjoy watching those guys. So I'll still like it, but it's not just, your top of the field loaded. I don't even think there's anybody inside the top 30 in the OWGR. So 9K and above, what are you looking at? Your 3 guys you like?
All right. Yeah, this field is wide open. I was joking with somebody today. You could make everybody in this field 100-1, trying to figure out who's going to do what. I'm surprised this is a great opportunity for somebody to win. I'm surprised Fina's not here, or your boy HV3. Why aren't they?
So a lot of those guys are taking off before they go travel over to Asia. And this is their time. This is their time to get a couple weeks rest. I know that for HV3 because I obviously I talk to his agent and stuff from time to time. But I think that's pretty common for a lot of those guys that are committed to the Asian swing, and especially the WC. Like, if they don't take off this week, they don't have a week. I mean, in the travel and the lag and all that, they'd rather just get out there and not have to worry about this tournament. So I think it's a horrible spot in the rotation for the tournament.
No, that explains a lot for this field. All right, a couple of guys I like, or a couple of guys that I'm looking at. I think obviously at the top, 10-4, Daniel Berger, 18 and 23rd, his last 2 starts. He's got 2 top 5s here. He's that grinder type. For what I remember, that I think that this golf course is one of the kind of difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's kind of hard. And it kind of reminds me of the TPC Southwind down in Memphis, where Berger's won twice, because that's not exactly a cakewalk, although they made changes. Now they played at WGC there. Brian Harmon's been playing well. He's got that bulldog mentality. He's a grinder. He's got a 3rd, a 14th, and an 18th in his last 3. And I'm probably going to go my favorite guy from 9,000 above, Russell Knox. He's one of my favorite players. He's a grinder. He's got a bad course history here. He's got 2 missed cuts, but he's made 3 cuts in a row. And he's, of all the grinders, he's probably my favorite of that grinder type. So I'm really sticking to it. Those are the types of guys that I'm taking a look at.
Yeah, I like Berger as well. 5th straight year playing out here. His worst finish is a 25th. He's got 2 5th places in there and an 18th. The price is hard to stomach, but the one thing I'll forewarn people, just do what I do. I do it every week, but I'll preach it more this week. Just hide your freaking price column. Get rid of the sticker shock. It's irrelevant. Worry about the field. It only matters once you get to Wednesday and you got to put all these guys in some kind of contest that you're looking at. But if you worry about it now, you're going to talk yourself off of guys because you're used to seeing Burgoon at 69 and now he's 84. Well, in this field, he's probably worth the value. Worry about the value to the field, not the value of the price. And this is a week that you have to do that, or you're going to talk yourself off of guys that you normally wouldn't. So Berger's a guy I do like. I agree with you there. I like Russell Henley. For 10-1, I assume he's going to be chalk, although I don't know what chalk's going to be this week. But his last 5 outs here, 7th, 4th, 5th, 1st, and 8th. So it hasn't finished outside the top 10 since 2014. So, I can't imagine him not showing up here and doing all right. He's made 3 straight cuts on this fall swing part of the tour. He's 11th in my stat model. I love him. He'll probably be a building block for me. Kyle Stanley is my number 3 guy. I like him a lot. I do like Harmon. He's actually ranked a little higher, but the only difference between the 3 I picked and him is the course history, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. He's 2 50th places and then 2 missed cuts, and these other 3 guys have lit this place up. Stanley, I like the discount at 9,300. This is gonna be a tough week. I've been doing the MME, $44, $8, and I can't decide if I want to go back to that or just put one or two bullets in a put two lineups in the 555, play the $200 single and call it a day. It's really tough to tuck yourself into that because you don't know what the hell anybody's going to do, kind of like you mentioned. But my thinking is that those tournaments, those type of tournaments where guys have to nut down and pick six guys, they're going to lean to balance because the six looks scary as hell. Hell, the seven looks kind of wishy-washy. And so you could take a leverage point in those contests and start up high, which will make you kind of take a risk or two down low. But if it pays off, you may have the nuts. And so it's a strategy that's out there. Don't know which guys up high and down low you go to yet. There's a lot to digest between Wednesday, but it could be that, or you could just do a spray method and throw 20, 30 lineups in the 44, depending on your bankroll, or $8 or whatever. I hadn't figured it out yet because, like you're right, there's tons of guys here that you just don't know what's going to happen. For that reason, though, I think guys in the 6 and 7 has just as good of equity as an $8,000 guy this week to return value because it's so mixed across the board. I'll kick off the 7,600 to 8,900. A guy I imagine will be chalky this week is Robbie Shelton, 7,900. Guy's just been playing so good coming out of the Corn Ferry. He's number one in my stat model. Now, he's limited rounds, but really, really good off the tee. Great on approach and ball striking. Birdie or better gain. He's third in the model for me. Again, limited rounds, but I do like what I see there, especially at the discounted price. My boy I've been riding just top 20s for me last 2 weeks. Can't say his first name, but Zhang is his last name. Love him. I mean, I rode him to top 7 at Safeway, top 16 at Shriners. Had him in my lineups. I just didn't build great around him. He's so cheap. I played him in Showdown many times at cheap money, and he's returned so good value. Played great Sunday down the stretch as well. I really like seeing that, so I don't mind going back to him at 8,000. And then one of my favorite plays right now on the board is Harris English, 8,900. Not the best history out here, but he has made the cut twice, 2 out of 3 years. Coming in pretty good form, a third, a sixth, a 33rd. He took last week off. He is top 8 in the field in putting on Bermuda splits for me, and that's one thing I really like. Good form, loves Bermuda. He's played here 3 straight years. Not done great, but at least played here, so he's a guy I like at 89 that may get overlooked and allow me to get some exposure there and pivot elsewhere. Who are the 3 you're on?
Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I can see Harris English. That's pretty good. He's a good putter. He can make some shots. That might under the radar. I like that. I had Zhang as one of my 3 guys, 16th and 7th in his last 2. At 8,000, I think that's a good play. I love Bud Cauley. He's one of my guys.
I like Cauley.
Yeah. He was 18th the last time they played this tournament. They didn't play it here last year, so it was 2 years ago. And that was the last 3. He's coming off a miscut, a 44th, and then a 14th. So he started off okay, and I'm kind of hoping he gets back to it. For that, I think he'll be under-owned at 8,600 coming off the miscut. But he's the type of grinder I'm looking at. And one thing I noticed last week, and I'm sure a lot of people in the community have, the question has to be asked: Is Luke List back? His tee to green game, is he back? He was 13th last week. His last 3 tournaments here, he's got a 24th, a 3rd, and a 27th. 8,500. Luke List has got the pedigree to maybe show up this week. If he's back, I don't know if he's back. Can you say he's back off of one tournament, 13?
I think he was scared of getting kicked off Pat Mayo's FOMO list, because I think Mayo threw out the gauntlet last week and said if he doesn't finish top 20 or something, he's gone. And so I think he survived another week. He's got great history here as well, so I certainly don't mind that play. Just to not correct you, but to clarify, they did play here last year, but it was March of 18, so it's almost been 2 years in a sense, year and a half now, because it didn't make the fall swing turnaround type deal, if that makes sense to anybody. But it's been a longer break than normal, so they didn't play March of this year in 19 like they normally would have. It got moved out to this fall swing. So in a sense, it was on the 17-18 tour, but 18 months ago they played here. Not that it really matters. I just want to tell people that was the case. I actually like all those you said. I was worried about Zane because I knew he would be popular now. When I was playing him, no one was. No one even talked about him 2 weeks ago. I called him my new Redman. Him and Hoag. And I was happy to see the 8,000 because I was worried of like a 7,400 number this week, and he would just be chalk city because he looks so good. I'm hoping that scares some people off because I'll still fire him at 8,000. I don't really care. I think the kid's in a zone. He may not have a streak like this ever again. I don't know. Or he may have just found something and he's just ready to go. But like I physically watched a lot of his round. The time I was watching him some. And he's ball striking like crazy right now. And he's hitting, his approach is just phenomenal. Now it's limited sample size. But in a tournament like this, I don't mind taking a chance on the guy like that for sure. 7,500 or less is our third tier. Probably my most difficult decision of the week is going to come on Doc Redman. I can only imagine him being extremely, extremely chalky this week at 7,200. I already laid down the bet at 100-1. I hammered that the second it came out. I released it. So there's my free play of the week for you listeners who haven't joined yet, which I don't know why you haven't. You should jump on. But stat-wise, Tee to Green, he's top 8 to 10 in this field, no doubt. Can he putt? No one knows. If he ever figures that part out of the game, and it's a broken record, it's probably why he's 7,200, but he's just such an elite guy with his, with everything else that again, he's made 3 or 4 cuts, and 7,200 lets you put it in the spot of, if he just makes a cut, gets inside the top 40, he probably returns value. But I think he can really, come out here and top 10 it. He can win it. If he gets hot with the putter at all, he may be the new Benny On type or a Luke Listbeck. I mean, he couldn't putt for nothing, but I like him a lot. So he's going to be in my pool probably. If he just looks like stupid chalk, I may have to look elsewhere, but I do like him. I like Duffner this week. I don't know how popular he's going to be. 7,000 veteran. He's a grinder. He can get hot. He loves Bermuda. It's his best splits. He missed 2 cuts coming into here. So I don't think he's going to be up there by any means, but he's played this the last 2 years, a 12th and then a 64. So 2 straight cuts at 7,000. All I need is Jason Duffner, a veteran on tour, to make the cut. I'll take that. I'll take that risk. And last one, I think he got a little too much Vegas in him. No pun intended. Wednesday night. And, Johnny Vegas started out like 5 over after 2 or 3, 4 over after 5. And just could never get the ball, the wheels rolling after that. But long view, he's a good player. He loves Bermuda as well, a lot like the other guys I've mentioned. It's kind of a theme for me if you don't pick up on that. This is his 6th straight year at least. I only go back to 2014. He's made the cut all 5 times. 7,600, maybe burned some people last week. I'm not sure, but I don't mind taking a Johnny Vegas, a Duffner. These guys that are veteran, played a lot, played this course a lot. He's got 2 top 20s inside the 5 years as well. So I don't mind him. I don't think he's too shaken from last week. I just think he started bad and could never recover, especially in a birdie fest. You start 4 over after the first 2 holes in a birdie fest, you're like 10 shots back already. So I'm not going to hold last week against him, and I don't mind going back there if he's going to be low owned. What about you?
All right. I think Vegas, I think he just had a baby. Maybe I thought I heard that. And that's why at the end of the year, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but check out for baby swag. You went the veteran route. I went the complete opposite way, and I took a bunch of guys off the Corn Ferry Tour. I know that you like. I knew that you were going to mention Doc, so I just let you have that one. But I'm looking at a couple of guys that were pretty good on the Corn Ferry Tour. That this is an opportunity for them to show what they can do. They've played obviously a couple events so far, but with the strength of this field, they might actually be able to do something this week. So Mark Hubbard, who I think I mentioned in the Greenbrier show, he's got 2 top 15s in his last 4 starts. He's got a 19th here. He's somebody that can play a little bit. Christopher Ventura, he's got a 18th his last time out and a 62nd before that in his last 2. Maybe getting back in the form. That kid can play, Christopher Ventura. I think he won twice on the Corn Ferry Tour. And Scott Harrington, who's got a 23 and a 24th place finish in his last 3 starts. Listen, below 7,500, you're really going to have a hard time finding guys with a lot of cut equity. And I think that I'm just going to, I haven't figured out where I'm going to go with these guys yet, but I'm just going to go with guys that have a lot of upside and just kind of hope for the best. So you went veteran. I went the young route. And,
well, yeah, those two were the top two on my roundtable. So I'm right there. I like both of them. The first two you mentioned, Hubbard's actually number 6 in my model. He's like Shelton, very limited PGA stats at this point, but I do like that he missed 2 cuts here, but I do like that he played here 3 years, 15, 16, and 17. He got a top 20 in 16, playing much better golf than he was. So I don't mind him at all. And who was your second guy you mentioned?
Ventura and then
Harrington. Yeah, Ventura's on my list as well. He'd be in my immediate player pool as far as first cut type deal. I like him in general. He's a Okie State kid, got that pedigree. I've mentioned him before on the pod as we were wrapping up the prior season, so I definitely don't mind him. Our 4th tier is a flop, fade, and sleeper. If you're new, flop is a guy we think will not return value. Fade is a guy you're fading for any given reason, ownership, course history, recency bias, anything like that. And then sleeper is our favorite play, $6,900 or less. Nagels, kick us off with your flop, fade, and sleeper.
All right. My flop is going to be Cam Champ. Now, he's 10-8. The guy hasn't taken a week off. His grandfather's apparently sick. And he played last week. He won a tournament. Why is he playing? I don't understand. I thought he loved his grandfather. What happened to that whole story? What happened there?
I think he does. But if you watch his grandfather is all about, his whole family is about him focusing on golf. Like they didn't even tell him about it until he got back from his end of the season tour. And I mean, honestly, I think it probably comes down to these are good opportunities for him to bank FedEx points. And now that he's got the 500 from the win, and he finished top 28 at Sanderson. So, if he can get a couple top 10s here in this fall swing, he's set up to almost already be in the FedEx Cup going in before we even get to January. And that's huge for a kid like that needs to get, establishment and on the tour.
He's already in the Masters and the guy's on hospice. Like, just take the week off. Why are you playing the Houston Open? That doesn't make any sense to me.
My gut is that Grandpa said, go play, I'll be fine type of deal. Like, and you don't know this family situation, but I don't think he would be there if not everybody was supporting him to be there. And he may withdraw. I don't know. He may be there now. I hadn't heard, but it's an iffy situation because it's scary to play him and you hate to bring this up. But I mean, if Gramps takes a turn, come Friday, is he out of there? And you don't even want to talk like that. It sucks. But when you're putting people in something for money, it's a thought process to go, hey, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, and I'm not sure I would be out there playing. But if it's the type of guy he is, and my grandpa would have told me to go play. I promise you that. When he was
all right. I'm not trying to take down him or his grandpa. I'm just saying I think at some point since he won, he still hasn't taken a week off. I would think that spend a little family time. That's all. All right, my fade. I was trying to decide. I mentioned Berger before. I think Berger and Henley are going to be like one of those guys are going to be popular, or they might be equally popular. So I had to fade one. So I faded Henley, and I'm playing Berger. Henley's course history is tremendous, and if everybody's going to be on him, I'm probably going to take a step back. That's just how I play. And my sleeper, I do have one veteran that I would take a look at. Stuart Sink. He's 28th his last start. He's got a 23rd and a 33rd his last 2 Houston Opens. He's got a 6th place finish on his resume here. So if you're looking for like a veteran that might be able to make a cut for you, Stuart Sink might be in play. That's what I got for myself. And I don't think he's going to win. Obviously.
All right. On the serious side, I do, now that I think about it, it could be the case of he knows he's not going to go on the Asia tour with his grandpa on hospice. So this is literally like his last chance to get points until January. So he may be looking at it like that to go, hey, I'm going to play this week and then I'm done until January, potentially. Right. And so that's another thing with champs. He may be, he's going to be, he was what, 3% last week or 4%. I don't think he's going to be much higher this week. Initially, we'll see how much he gets talked up. He does love Bermuda. It's one of his better splits. So that is a factor if you're looking at that. But my flop is Pat Perez. He was a mini Gnaw last week with the putter. So if Gnaw wouldn't have been there, I think he was number one in putting by far. Got a third place. I'm guessing that maybe he'll get hyped up this week, being a hot finish, but $9,700. I don't know if I could go there. And I said not worry about pricing, but obviously in our flop, we have to factor that in. He's only played here once in the last 5 years. He did have an 11th, so there is that. But if he's going to get kind of hyped up off of a good finish, which was mainly putter, I think he'll flop at that 9,700. My fade is Brian Harmon, strictly on I like Berger and Henley so much. And if I was going to go to Harmon, I'd pay the $200 and take a under-owned champ over him. I just don't like that he doesn't have any kind of good history out here. And you got to narrow down up top somewhere. And so he's the guy that I think I would pass on. And my sleeper, and I think I'm still butchering his name, but I'm going to give it a try, is Zach Sucher, $6,600, a 24th and an 18th to start out the fall swing. He hasn't played the last 2 weeks. Pretty solid across my model, all given being $6,600. I like the 150 to 1 price tag as well. There's a couple in the 6,000s I think you could go to that I like. Harrington was one I kind of had on the short list. You mentioned him earlier as well. So there's some options there that you can go to because of the Corn Ferry status. These guys aren't getting enough pricing increase, so you can get value there if you want. Roundtable wise, I'll hit a few of them and you can chime in and then add if you want. One guy we haven't mentioned at all is the highest price in the field, Henrik Stenson.
Good course history too.
Yeah, so I don't know. This will be a come Wednesday for me. That's why I didn't make the decision yet, but I think I can find enough value in the 6s or low 7s and some of the guys I'm willing to take a risk on, that if everybody's just going to drop straight from Stenson and move on, I don't mind going to him in this field. He's got to be top 2 or 3 as far as potential elite talent. And if that rough is up and thick and he can pull out his 3-wood all day, I love him even more because he can hit fairways all day. We know off the tee he struggles if he's got to go driver, but if he's in the position just to hit fairways and greens, and he's been playing over in Euro, so he's not like he's had a big break. We just won't see the stats over here on this side. I don't mind going to him at 11-4 in the right situation. So he's definitely on my list. I just want to see how talked up and how many people are going to be on him come Wednesday. I had Hubert. You mentioned him. Burgoon, I'm obviously on. He's a FOMO for me. Stenson was the other guy. I assume that some of the Texas boys will be talked up. Scheffler, I probably will pass on at 99 just because I think a lot of people are going to be on him. So in my approach to this field is going to pick the few up in that range that I can move off of and just build naturally. I assume he'll be one of them. A guy I like a lot, but obviously another UT guy, and he's low priced. I'm interested to see if he gets any buzz, but I like him as Doug Gim. I think he could play well here. Definitely don't mind going there, especially at that price, if he's going to be, somewhat under the radar ish. McCarthy, he's all putter. I don't know if I can go there. Ryder can't seem to close ever, and I get tired of playing these guys that never can close.
You say Sam Ryder? Is that Sam Ryder?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him on my list. Yeah.
Lanto, I assume, is going to continue his he's on fire, 4 straight top 20s, playing great, hitting the ball great. 8,000, I think he'll be high owned. So he's a guy to keep your eye on potential pivot, or play him if you like him. And then a few other just to round out what I had. Bryce Garnett is a guy I'm keeping an eye on. Higgs is a guy I like. I played him in Showdown a little bit. I had him in my player pool last week, actually. He missed the cut, but he's there, 7,400. I don't mind looking at him. Johnson Wagner is the other guy I looked at for my sleeper. I went with Zucher right at the last, but I do like Wagner this week as a potential flyer. You already mentioned Collie, and then the last guy that, especially if I'm doing MME, that I would have a few shares of just to have him, and I may get crazy and play him up in a bullet type deal. Maybe not, but I do like him this week as far as a flyer for sure. Is Boo Weekly at $6,100.
Boo Weekly. All right.
Yeah, he generally plays well in Texas, and $6,100. I mean, for me, I may just, he's 400 to 1, so I may sprinkle some change or do a top 20 and not have him in DraftKings. But if I was building 20 plus lineups, I'd have him in one lineup just in case type of deal.
All right.
Anybody stick out to you that we hadn't got to, or
the only guy
on that?
Didn't mention that I had Sam Ryder on my list that I was going to look at. I had Lanto Griffin, who you mentioned. I might take a peek at Brian Gay. He popped up on a leaderboard recently, and he can putt a little bit.
He can putt. Yep.
We should tell the audience that they're not going to gain any advantages by playing Cole Hammer. He's going to be pretty popular.
He's another Texas boy.
Yeah. You're not sneaking up on anybody taking Cole Hammer. I think he's going to be pretty popular. So yeah, you just got to find your guys, man. This field is crazy. It's wide open. Find the guys that you like. You want to go the Texas narrative. You want to go the Euro narrative. That's another thing. You're going grinder. You look at the last couple of leaderboards of this event. There's always a Euro kind of sneaking in the mix. Ian Poulter won. I can see Stenson. The only thing about Stenson at 11-4, and you're trying to get 6 of 6 through, and that T65 has been hitting people over the head the last couple of weeks, they might be afraid to go with the top guy. And
I think most will. So I think, it's definitely a leverage spot this week for sure.
Yeah. So you might be onto something there. So go.
You mentioned this earlier, and there's one guy I had in my mind when you said this, and I had this written down earlier, was like, back to Finau not playing. And I don't know what he's up to right now, but like a Jordan Spieth, he could come out here in top 5 this event, get some momentum, get some points. Kind of surprised that, he's done well here. I know he's had some runner-ups. That's the kind of guy that I question. He hadn't been around at all in the fall swing, so maybe he's just doing a whole complete reset. I assume he'll make the Asian swing and play in the WGC over there, but interested to see where he pops back up again after a not so hot year. Betting wise, 40 to 1. This kind of field, I doubt I touch anybody here. I think I'm going to go mid to long odds, throw a couple darts and just have fun and hope it hits. If I was going to go low, the guys I've already mentioned, Stanley, English, could even go Scotty, Scheffler if I wanted to, but that's about it below 40. Anybody catch your eyes there?
No, I was looking before. I want to bet on Russell Knox, but I think he was like, I don't know, maybe 50 to 1 or 40 to 1 or 30 to 1 somewhere. He was. So that doesn't excite me. I don't know. I don't even know if I will have an outright this week up. I got to be honest with you. So if you want to take over this betting segment, I've mentioned a whole bunch of guys. I don't know if I'm going to put any. I have no idea who's going to win this tournament. Usually I'll have some type of inkling or I'll have a feeling, but I don't really. I have no idea. There's so many guys that they're all in one giant pot. So
I didn't lock. I locked 2 in earlier that I released to the community that were snap bets, no matter how it looked. And then I probably won't do much until either I get confirmation of how the rough is and potential green. These greens are normally fast, even lightning fast at times, but they're normally overseed and slick. So I want to get feedback on how the greens rolling, which I expect them to roll nicely. We've had a lot of rain. Real warm weather down here. Like it's been like every day has been 95 to 100 the last month here till today. This is literally the first day we didn't hit 90 in over a month. And so the grass has been able to grow as much as they want. So my 2 factors are how thick is that rough, because I know it's been growing, and then what are the greens like? That's really all I care about. Everything else just kind of is what it is. And so I won't bet much until I get those confirmation, because then I'll focus in on guys that, okay, it's playing like that. So I may like that, but names that I've already mentioned them: Burgoon, Zhang, Shelton, Vegas, Redmond, and Duffner are over 100 to 1. I like those. Sucher, whatever his name is, he was 150, I think. Gim, I mentioned Boo Weekly. You could probably get him 40 to 1 as a top 20 type deal, or 30 to 1 at least at 400. And
That
then
was-
Johnson,
You nailed that one.
yeah. So stuff like that. But I'm not getting pot committed, like I said earlier, until I get all the kind of information that I can get from. I got a few people over there, so I'm going to reach out to a couple of them. One of the guys I met at Wyndham that he goes to most of the tournaments that's in the community. So I'm going to reach out and kind of see what he's seeing out there as well. And plus we got some industry guys that are around Houston. So especially important week to come join us Wednesday night. We have a couple of huge announcements that we're going to debut. Any final thoughts for you, Nagel, before I wrap it up?
No, sir. Just if I come up with a guy or two that I like, I put a little card together. I'll make sure I tweet it out at Nagel Bagels. And best of luck to everybody this week. Thank you very much.
Yeah, make sure you're giving Jeff a follow. If you didn't hear that, it's at Nagel Bagels. You can see him as well with everything else we do. Next week, we head to the CJ Cup at Nine Bridges. Traditionally, a pretty fun tournament to watch. Brooks won it last year. We especially like it. I know Kenny Kim loves it on the sense of we get the kind of late night golf because of the time difference. So that's fun. That Monday, I believe, after the CJ Cup is when they're having the challenge deal with Tiger and Matsu and all that stuff. So something else to kind of look forward to. Didn't mention, but make sure you go check out the Fantasy DGM pod. Both Kenny Kim and Tambo are on the team this season. Excited to have Kenny join. His course preview will be up on the website. He is going to add some additions this week that he worked on last week. That's pretty cool. So for members only, but you can check out their pod to get his little briefing on the course, and then make sure you read his article on the site. As always, join Tambo and myself Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern for E9, and then 9 o'clock Eastern we'll do the coin flip, kind of take a break in between there quickly and gear up for some football. This week will be important to be in there. I think we'll have a lot better picture, probably have some movement off of the guys we talked about tonight. There is a new channel in the Slack. You guys have been doing great utilizing that. Throw your questions in there anytime between now and Wednesday. They stay in there. And so I start there. I read the questions in there. We go in depth. Then I jump on the YouTube chat. We go through that and we wrap it up. Saturday night is 7 Eastern for the Audible. We may not have an Audible this week. I have to confirm. I got some family stuff going on. And then obviously there's a tiny little football game Saturday that I may go to at the Cotton Bowl. And so if that happens, it'll be a do what?
No, I said, I wonder what game that is that you're allergic to lose. Yeah. No, that's great, man. Have a great time if you go.
Yeah. So we'll do a Slack only chat that night if I wind up getting to that. Like I mentioned, join gupscorner.com now. Use the code GCFFG for 10% off. You can get we'll start ramping up the NBA preseason coverage with Preston. He did a great job. I think we're close to getting our second guy on that team. So we'll have you covered almost every night in NBA, if not most of the main slates for sure. So if you're just to reiterate, if you're kind of new to everything, our content and analysis package, so all of our material we put out, we produce our opinions, our picks, our plays, fades, sleepers, rankings, all that stuff for every sport is in one package. It's one price for everything. NASCAR, NBA, MLB, football, college football, which we have, my opinion, the best, if not one of the two best college football guys in the country on the staff. If you choose you want a deep dive, we have added a football tools package that you can add on as well, and you can still use the code for that. Between Bobby's information, that tool, I personally won $5,000 on Saturday in college football in DraftKings. I've had a great season in DraftKings. Our Slack chat has had a tremendous season in college football. I think as a community, we have the biggest edge in the industry on college football right now, which is kind of a niche sport. Obviously, NFL, PGA is all covered in there. Our golf tools are slowly being rolled out. We've had many, many, many guys DM and say how much money they won in Showdown using our exclusive live tool. We haven't even rolled out the best part yet. That is still to come. But those are free if you're a member right now through the entire fall swing. That will not go behind the paywall until January for the Tournament of Champions. As always, have a very, very blessed and great week. We will see you Wednesday night for JB behind the mic. Jeff and myself, have a great week and see you Wednesday.
SmashFactor.